Okay, Shaggy, do you want me to do it at the start or do you want me to do it right now? I have to do an intro. Okay, Season 8.5 patch notes dropped today, and yeah, let's just jump right into this. What's her shield faster than Cap? She has a delay. Oh, she has the delay that Cap has. Okay, that's interesting. So this will make her more survivable. It will allow her to do more, and it'll make her kit feel a lot more fluid, I think. So you're not as punished if you mess up your shield timing. You're not as punished or you can get in and out more kidnapping people, so you can be more active, and you can survive a little bit more. I think that this is a quality of life due to the fact that like Dino exists in the game, and try and keep her up with the fact that he exists. But considering I haven't seen too many Angelas this season, I guess that kind of makes sense. I think this is like quality of life buffs more than anything. Okay. Devil Dinosaur. We're reducing the Devil Dinosaur's damage, survivability, and crowd control to balance the experience for other Vanguards facing him. Now, this is important because of the fact that he's sort of like an anti-tank tank, which to those who played Overwatch, anytime you have an anti-tank tank, it makes the experience pretty miserable. So they're trying to reduce his ability to, I think, like, especially like bully the other tank. So, you know, removing the knockdown effect from impact beam. So it's this. He can't ground flyers anymore. That's interesting. Okay. So that one's a bit of an interesting one because I know one of the most annoying things for tanks to deal with is flyers or aerial enemies. So removing this might feel good for anyone who's a flyer, anyone who's in the air, because I know it was probably maybe too easy to ground people, especially like Angela and stuff. But yeah, we'll have to see how that is, because the last thing you want is to put them in a place where they don't have the tools to deal with a certain problem and they're forced to swap all the time. But I also see like why maybe it was like too frustrating to play against him, so maybe that's why they removed it, kind of like they did with Bucky's grounding. So yeah, it kind of makes sense at least. Increase the buddy barrier cooldown from 10 seconds to 12 seconds. This is important and reasonable because the shield blocks heals and he's able to grab people. And yeah, like the shield is huge and it can block heals and you can just like kidnap someone. So, you know, too much survivability, too many ways to bully other tanks. So that one makes sense, especially because he's already a super tanky dinosaur. They're just kind of this puts more weight onto his like physical body. So yeah, you'll have to be, you know, managing your cover better. Reduce the percentage damage per second, the bleed effect from 3% to 1.5%. And you guys also said in chat that this technically means that he'll get less overshield, right? Because the bleed is what gives him the overshield. Okay, so that's also a damage to his survivability, not just a nerf to his survivability, as well as a nerf to his overall damage, which I think Devil Dino was strong. And I think that I don't think he was as busted as people made him out to be. Like, in terms of my bans, if Gambit or Dino made it through, I don't think it was the end of the world. I do think that they were strong enough to be worth bans, but I never really found Devil Dino to be on like the same level as like Black Hat or Daredevil. So I think this will bring him in line to be pretty balanced. Whenever it comes to the tanks, I feel like they do a pretty good job of getting the tanks in line to be in a good spot. In terms of the roles in which they balance the best, the tanks always seem to be always in that range of like they always feel good, but I will say none of them usually feel amazing for too long. Okay, so let's see. Magneto, the mutant revolution will not be stopped, increasing his functionality. The threat level of Magneto's ultimate, increase Meteor M ultimate ability, maximum duration from 4 seconds to 5 seconds, increase the damage dealt when fully charged from 300 to 350. This one is interesting. I didn't see coming. Like, maybe was his win rate really bad? Like, what was going on there? Oh, I guess so. Like, it's not bad. It just needed a little buff. So maybe that's where that comes from. I don't think that this will be too crazy, because if you're holding an ultimate for 5 seconds, that gives you a lot of time to try and find cover. This is one of those like, is Magneto strong? Yeah, but like we don't want to make his, we don't want to add more to the bubble. We don't want to add more to the other parts of the kit. The other parts of the kit feel good. Maybe just give him something that, a little tiny buff here. Make his ultimate a little bit more threatening. Because especially Magneto is really good at just sort of enabling his team. He's not good at making sort of big plays with his neutral kit. So If you don't want to put more damage into the neutral kit, make them powerful there, because that would be really annoying coming from a poke tank, it makes sense to put it into the ultimate. So looking at the win rate and stuff, this makes sense. But also, if he's holding an ability for 5 seconds, that's a really long time for you to have to get out of the way. So this one is reasonable. All right. Rogue. This one, I can tell already, is going to be great for me. She's tougher than ever and gets a slight increase to her mobility and survivability. Decrease the cooldown of Fatal Attraction from 14 seconds to 12 seconds. Now I'm going to tell you why this is important. Fatal Attraction is her shift. That is the ability that has the longest cooldown. And what you would do is you would go in with shift and hit with your E right afterwards. And now what you'd see is that they both come off of cooldown nearing the same time, but not exactly the same time, right? So what this means is that now what would happen normally is you would get in, do your combo, you'd punch for a little bit, and then by the time you needed to get back out, after doing a little bit of damage, you'd get out, and you would probably be around like, 5 or 4 seconds, and now you can re-engage back in 3 seconds, but because of the fact that it's 2 seconds off of your chrono kick, it means that you can engage in sooner, because by the time the chrono kick is off of cooldown, when you engage back in, by the time your Fatal Attraction is off of cooldown, your chrono kick will be off of cooldown the moment you engage. So that increases the amount of uptime that you have in the fights, which is the biggest weakness that Rogue had, was just that you had to be a lot more patient with her. So that is a good buff for her. Reduce the energy consumption of when using defensive stance from 60 per second to 50 per second. Increase absorbed damage energy conversion ratio from 35 to 45%. Okay, so the damage conversion and the duration is here is like, so if I'm holding block, that's how fast it's decreasing. So it's going to decrease, 18% less or whatever. And the amount of damage that's being converted will be increased. Now, this has been, this one's been interesting because, like, I've always told people that you have to treat her block more like a parry than you do like a shield. And that doesn't really translate well. So even though I understand conceptually that's how the move should work, visually it doesn't feel like that's how the move should work. So I see why players always get confused on that. But you always want to use it to try and like get that max damage, because if you get into the red zone, you can't like right click it back again real well. So you always want to like try and wait for like the big damage hits and then block and then hold it to parry it, and then you charge up that damage, and then you can go back and use it. But a lot of players were using it too much to just hold and block, but you see how quickly it drains. It's not super good at using that. It's supposed to be just sort of a way to absorb some damage and get ready to go back in with it. This will make it so it increases her threat level, because however much damage you charge up, if you can charge up damage really, really well and unleash it on someone, it's actually a pretty significant burst, right? So that's actually quite a lot. So I would say that if people had Rogue in C or B tier, I would say that she's in B or A tier for them now without the team up. And if you've been playing Rogue without the team up, you've been playing with weights on this whole time, and now it's going to be like Rock Lee when you drop the leg weights. You know what I mean? You guys, everyone who's been playing Rogue is ready to go. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, I am not reading all this. She goes from 2 dashes down to 1. And there's a bunch of changes in here, and there's a bunch of numbers, and there's so much here that there's no way to know what this is going to be like until she's actually played in game. This is too much information. This is easy to understand, right? This is a very simple adjustment. This is something else, right? But this was needed. This was 100% needed. This character was permabanned. This character gets banned more than Daredevil. And Daredevil is banned permanently, right? Like, and Daredevil's awful to play against. So yeah, she absolutely needed to be nerfed this bad. But hey, I know if you're a Black Cat player, maybe she's no longer permabanned, so this is good news. Everyone's saying super nerf right now that she's getting hit with inflation. But you know, like, hey, I played Psylocke through every iteration, right? To all the people who are upset at this change, get used to it. We're gonna have to see. Honestly, with Black Cat, all of these changes here, like, she was doing too much all the time. This might be too much, but we always have to remember that games are an iterative process. Psylocke has gone through so many iterations, but I want you guys to remember that Psylocke early on was very bursty and very punishing in low elo. And then she was a terrible alt bot farmer. And then she was in a really bad place in season 6. And now she's perfect. Everybody's like, yeah, just don't touch her. She feels great. She's in a good spot. High skill expression. I think she legitimately went from a 4-star hero to a 5-star because she's always been considered 5-star. But I genuinely think that she is legitimately a 5-star hero now. A 5-star hero now. You know, legitimately. When I think that's exactly where she should be. So yeah, I just remember that things will get better in time. And as they iterate on Black Cat, she will eventually get to the same spot that hopefully Psylocke will. Okay, continuing on. Blade. The Daywalker is ready to carve up the competition. We've slightly increased Blade's close-range combat capabilities. Increase unstoppable duration provide after each Scarlet Shroud of... Okay. We're gonna have to go to Blade here because I have no idea what in the heck they just said.
No one's coming to leave on my watch.
Okay, Scarlet Shroud is his block. After each use of Scarlet Shroud from 0.4 second to 1 second. Increase the unstoppable duration provided after each use of Scarlet Shroud from 0.4 seconds. Is it the invulnerability frame? That's kind of crazy. Increase an invulnerability frame from 0.4 seconds to 1 second? That's a long time of invulnerability. That's actually nuts. I don't like... Any sort of invulnerability is like 1 second is crazy. So that increases his ability to survive greatly. And then increase initial hit damage of Daywalker dash from 20 to 30. So that's a shift, right? Yeah. Okay.
Here they come.
Increase the damage per spin from 8 to 10, 52 to 70. So that is a total increase of 28 extra damage, which I don't know enough about Blade's kit, but the problem with Blade is that this damage right here, right? The damage that he does is it's like very small but many consistent hits, right? And the reason why the reason why Blade is always such a bad spot is because this catching people off guard with burst damage is always way more effective and way more difficult to heal than if you're doing damage that is, you know, slashing like that. But you know, I know they've been like micro buffing him over and over again, so maybe this is going to be enough to like put him into a spot where he's decent. I think the Blade players like Infernaciu and Silly Spark would know better, but this is definitely one we're going to have to wait and see. I think that anybody with an anti-heal could be extremely powerful in helping their team, especially because of the fact that anti-heal on tanks could really bully them. Let's see. Daredevil. Oh, finally. The man without fear. We need to rely a bit more on his other senses now. We are reducing Daredevil's ability to scout enemy team positions while roaming the outskirts and lowering his engagement distance and post-engagement survivability. Reduce radar sense maximum detection range from 50 meters to 40 meters. Reduce Sonic's pursuit's dash targeting distance from 20 to 12 meters. This is massive. Objections duration from 1.5 to 1.2.
New kind of justice now.
Let's see. That is
Justice.
his right click is objection. Yeah, that is his ability to defend himself. And the other one is the F, I believe, Sonic Pursuit. Yeah. So the fact that it was 20 meters
On the hunt. Find justice.
is kind of insane. Like, I'm going to be real.
Humiliation.
Anybody that can burst you almost instantly and requires so many resources, like, to be able to dash to you from... No.
No escape.
Okay. Yeah, this is crazy. Like, so now he's got to be here.
My radar.
Daredevil players are not happy. This is for sure. However, you had a choice. Like, you cannot have high mobility, high survivability, and high damage. You need to pick one, right? You need to give up at least one of them, okay? They didn't nerf his damage. They just nerfed his ability to be, gather information, which is good because information is key in these games and organized play. And his ability to, get in super easy. So now you really have to be much more careful about where you engage from. And that's better because a lot of Daredevils, they like from 20 meters, you could just engage from the front. And then with your overshield and stuff, you could still beat the crap out of everyone, hit this shit, and then shift to get out. I don't play Daredevil, but I understand the gameplay loop enough that that's what would happen every single time. So this was absolutely needed. I know it's going to be more difficult for you Daredevil players, but you got to be real. Like, I could admit when Sai's burst damage was a little high. I didn't complain when they nerfed her burst damage. I've dealt with every nerf that she's had. I've still played her. If this convinces you to stop playing Daredevil, then I don't think you really like playing Daredevil from the beginning. So I think you only like playing something that was considered OP or broken. This is a much needed, the Daredevil has got the highest win rate of the entire duelist, I believe. Yeah. And for a reason. Even if he doesn't even need to get kills, he just pulls attention and resources, and that's the reason why he's so high. Continuing on the patch notes here, Elsa Bloodstone. Bloodstone legacy grows stronger, getting an increase to her instinct accumulation, reduce the damage required to upgrade passive skill inherited from 16.7 to 111. This is meaningless to me. I don't know what any of this means, but like, let's be real. The reason why people would be freaking out about this isn't because Elsa Bloodstone is too powerful. It's because people still have PTSD from dealing with Elsa Bloodstone for the season that she was released, right? Realistically, she is more of a quality of life change than anything else. She's powerful, but she's not the most powerful. Like, she's in line with Psylocke here, and I don't think Psylocke's that bad. I think that this one is just a quality of life change that makes her feel a little bit better. And this one was just like, even if it doesn't make sense in terms of like the current patch, in current win rates or current stuff going on here, it might make sense considering everything else they had changed in this patch. I think that this change might be kind of negligible. It might not even be noticeable. I don't know, because I don't exactly know what the heck these numbers mean. But like, I'm open to this change and it not being that bad. I don't have the bias and PTSD over Elsa Bloodstone that badly to sit there and say like, okay, this is just going to completely break the game or not. All right, let's move on to Human Torch. Changing his Flaming Meteor to 20 seconds, which I believe is his F, right? Yes. So it was already kind of crazy that Flaming Meteor was on a 20-second cooldown. I'm not gonna lie. That was probably too much, especially with how much crazy mobility there is in the game. So, like, even now it's been 15 seconds, right? And it still feels like an incredibly long time, right? So if you're sitting there, you're doing this, you're doing all these things, and you're like, oh, boom. Like, all right, now just let me play sort of like back here in passive for 20 whole seconds. Like, all right, well, fight's probably going to be over. Not much you can do. Like, this is a really long, 20 seconds is a long time to wait. So this one was the number one thing I think Torch players really hated. So this one seems reasonable. I'm going to be honest. Reduce plasma body's single charge energized time from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. Let's see, plasma body. Oh, it's a shift. Oh, it just reduces the cooldown on his dash? That's it? Okay. Well, okay. So the changes to Torch are essentially he's more mobile, which is a good thing. The part that was bad about Torch is that he just kind of like would sit in the air and kind of like, you know, spam from a distance, right? The shift was a good addition to his kit, and I think that adds a lot of unique identity to his kit, that he can zip around the air more, because that kind of seems more Torch-like. It goes into the hero fantasy more. It allows more movement, allows more player expression, and being able to, you know, have your F ability, your Meteor Slam, Flaming Meteor off cooldown more frequently, it means that you can do more as well. So I think that that's a good quality of life change. Where is it a buff to the damage? Like, yeah, technically you get more damage output, but more importantly, you're moving around more. It's similar, I think, to the Psylocke changes, in that you are being more expressive through how you use your abilities rather than how strong your individual abilities are, which is, I think, a good direction. I think that this is solid. Moon Knight. Conchu demands a bit more precision from his avatar. Mark is getting a reduction in his damage capabilities. Reduce Crescent Dart single shot damage from 25 to 23. Reduce Moonblade damage from 80 to 70. So this is his right click. That's his left click. Crescent Darts and Moonblades bounce between enemies or onks. Damage attenuation per bounce from 80% to 70%. Moon Knight will now deal less damage than bouncing attacks on multiple targets or off of onks. So this is good because it did feel like he was just doing way too much damage by bouncing off of targets. Like there are way too many times that you would find yourself just sort of accidentally dying because you were, you know, somebody happened to be like passing by you when you were semi low health. And you want to reward the skillful aspect and not the spammy aspect. And what I think that Moon Knight should do, and I think the place that you want to have Moon Knight be, is that Moon Knight is really good at bunker busting, right? He's really good at breaking people up, but he needs to have like an overall weakness, right? He can't just like delete people by bouncing shit like that, right? If he's got high spam damage and he's really good at just outputting a crap ton of damage, then executing people is usually very difficult. So what you would want to do is, as you would have a Moon Knight, you would have a Daredevil or a Black Cat or a Psylocke or a Magic, somebody who could get in there and get closer and help clean up the kills, right? So while one person is at the front line applying damage and applying pressure and helping hold back enemy tanks, helping apply pressure, you'd have another DPS that was living somewhere in the off angles, ready to help secure the kills. So like as Moon Knight would get them low, you'd have another DPS that would pair well with them, like even Spidey or something, that would be able to get in and help get those executes when they were low. So I think that lowering his overall damage output is good in this way, and it means that you'd want to think about pairing him up with someone in that way. So I think that Moon Knight now falls more into this category of frontline pressure and pairing well with like a dive tank or a dive DPS or something. So this was a needed change, and hopefully this means that he's also not as punishing in low elo, because that's the problem that's where he's like most feared. Namor. Monster responds against slight coverage increase the aquatic dominion cooldown reduction granted when Trident of Neptune hits an enemies from 1 second to 1.3 seconds. Oh, so he gets squids more often. Was he in a bad spot? Maybe. Oh. Wow, 4 in a row. Oh my god. Okay, well, you know, the fact that we were in a dive meta and Namor had an absolutely abysmal win rate in Celestial and above. Let's check all. Like, is he any better? No. Okay, that's the reason why he got buffed. It's more squids, more damage output, but it just means that you're going to have to. It's more skill expression. Once again, if you hit your shots, you're rewarded. There's more squids that are up. Maybe now people will learn to shoot the squids. You know, maybe this will finally teach players to shoot the squids. I know I'm saying that. I know it's never going to happen. But one could dream. You know what I mean? Phoenix, everyone's favorite. Cosmic flames are burning a little less brightly from afar. We're reducing Jean's flanking, sustain, and mid to long range capabilities, reducing the healing over time period after detonating sparks from 10 seconds to 5 seconds. That's a really long time. Cosmic Flames, damage fall off. Adjust maximum damage fall off at 30 meters from 75% to 65%. The distance to KO 250 health enemy with 2 critical hits is shortened from 18 meters to 16 meters. The maximum fall off, a single hit damage is reduced from 45 to 39. The number is required to KO 250 health enemy is increased from 5 to 6. So this means that they are making her a much more up. She's more effective the closer that she is, essentially. And that seems good because you want Hela to be the ranged one. You don't want Hela to be the range. You don't want Hela to be range and up close, because like this Phoenix could burst a tank really easily up close. I know because I've experienced it. This is the part where it's tough, right? Because now the devs have a problem. Phoenix is frustrating to play against, but her win rate isn't necessarily reflective of a character that's super overpowered and broken. Daredevil players. So I personally didn't have as much of a difficult time playing against a Phoenix, but I am really good about positioning and minding my cover. And this is one of those nerfs that I think brings her back a little bit, and it sort of separates her hero identity hopefully a little bit more. But I really think that one of the biggest problems people have is their perception of Phoenix. I don't like, yes, she's strong. I don't have the same sort of PTSD that other people have over Phoenix. Like, I would still much rather see a Phoenix in my game and go up against a Phoenix than I would a Daredevil or a Black Cat, right? Or a Starlord even. This is still much more easier to deal with. The worst part about Phoenix is the fact that nobody shoots the ult, and that's just like a player problem. For whatever reason, people are still not shooting the Phoenix ult. And if one person tries to shoot the Phoenix ult, they won't be able to do enough damage to destroy it out of the sky. If 2 people shoot the Phoenix ult, you'll usually destroy it. But for some reason, when Phoenix ults, everyone just says screw it, and they keep fighting. The Phoenix ult is really strong. You have to shoot it out of the sky, because otherwise it's going to directly impact someone and you're going to die. Someone's going to die, and then you're going to lose the fight. So this will hopefully bring her back down and make her less frustrating to play against. But changing people's perception to where they no longer have PTSD over this hero is going to be a task. Because even if you nerf her into the ground, because of the fact that she can just explode someone really close, do a lot of damage like a tank up close, that's always going to be super frustrating mechanic to play against. And I don't know how they make those changes without changing the hero's identity and whatnot. So we'll have to see. I think that the changes are reasonable, and we'll have to see how it plays out. Starlord, time to get a little closer for the legendary plays. Peter's baseline, mid to long range damage capabilities are getting toned down. Element guns fall off damage, just maximum range fall off at 25 meters from 65 to 50%. This does not affect his ultimate ability. Okay, so he was able to shoot from 25 meters before. Wait. Maximum fall off damage is at 25 meters. So, oh my god. I'm gonna be real. I don't think that's enough. I mean, like, you're toning down his long range damage for sure, but like, that's a long range for fall off damage. Okay, so it's 25.
That's 3. Oh, wow, 1 in a row.
Maybe? I don't know. That one we're gonna have to test, but I feel like if you're playing Starlord, you're probably not playing 25 meters away, but I don't know. Maybe he'll be fine. His win rate, here's the problem. His win rate says that he's good. He's not super high, but also at the same time, it doesn't matter what the win rate is if it's frustrating to play against. So we'll see if this is enough, but this does kind of feel more like a slap on the wrist, because like, how many Starlord players are you watching that are like poking like they're Hela? You know what I mean? Am I crazy? I feel like a lot of Starlord players are getting angles and trying to rotate and get in there, so we'll see. Oh wait, Starlord fall off range starts at 10 meters and maxes out at 25. Okay, so it's a gradual amount or something. It starts at 10 meters and goes to 55.
I totally rock that.
I don't know. That one we're gonna have to play in order to find out. We're gonna have to go to Brooks or Raz JK and see what they think after the changes. But he did need something to tone down, and they don't really like to backtrack. They're not really gonna take bullets out of his clip. They're going to try and put power into somewhere else. So we're gonna see how that plays. What I'm surprised that they didn't do is I'm surprised they didn't nerf his ultimate cost a little bit, right? Because by buffing and giving him, I don't know, maybe that would have been too much. Because like by lowering his damage, they naturally lower his ult charge too. But we'll have to see. The problem is he gets his ult so quickly, and the only answers to that are either support ultimates or mag ults. And while granted, sometimes you can position yourself near cover to be able to get away in time. There's a lot of maps that are really open and they just don't offer good cover. I think that the problem here is the fact that he's still very frustrating to play against, especially because of his ultimate. So we'll see if this does anything. But this is definitely more of a light nerf than anything else. Adam Warlock. Adam's damage to healing conversion efficiency. Increase the avatar lifestream charge time. Reduction when Cosmic Cluster hits enemies from 0.4. Dude. What? Increase the avatar lifestream charge time reduction. Okay, so he's
Quantum magic.
he's charging more. Every time he hits a headshot, he gets his heals back faster. Gets his heals faster. He gets his heals faster when he uses right click specifically. Okay. Okay, so
Wow, 4 in a row.
slight buff. I think that's fine. I'm not really too scared of Adams, so that seems okay. Let's see. The increase in base healing capabilities for Cloak and Dagger. When Life Force Dagger directly hits allies, reduce the single target healing from 16 to 12, and increase the spell field healing from 16 to 20 for directly hit teammates. The healing remains the same, but the AoE healing is increased. Increase the damage healing boost ratio provided by Light Force from 15 to 20%. Okay, so her Light Force will increase the amount of heals that they get, and now when she heals people, now the radius will be bigger. So the healing is the same, but she does better like AoE healing. That'll be interesting. I think this is like, because players would clump up so much and her auto targeting would sort of just, it'd be difficult to try and hit your target. Maybe just like a quality of life change, because the healing overall, if they say the healing overall stays the same, then this feels more of like, okay, well, how do we improve the quality of life without like making her busted? We gotta go check the win rates. You're right. Oh. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real. I didn't think she was that bad. I didn't think it was that, like, I thought Stratpool and her would be flipped. I thought Stratpool would be on the bottom. That is bad. Okay, I don't think this will help. I don't think that's enough. I'm gonna be real. That's crazy. Holy cow. And people are banning this hero? Yo, if you have been wasting a ban on Cloak and Dagger this season, you're out of your mind. Holy cow. This is okay, so now this allows her to heal her teammates more when they're in a group, but also doesn't change her individual targets healing. So that's really good. And like honestly, Light Force ability, her E, that was kind of a useless ability anyway. So going from 15 to 20%, like this seems fine. This is why I don't trust it when players are like following trends, right? This is why I don't trust when players are following trends of bans. I knew that playing the game and the way it felt, Cloak and Dagger was never that oppressive. Wasting a ban on Cloak and Dagger when you had players like Daredevil that exist is insane. Because I always love it too. People are like, oh yeah, if you ban the Lord Cloak and Daggers, they don't know how to play anything else. I'm sorry. What? What? You want to ban Cloak and Dagger and put them on Rocket instead? Because a lot of people know how to play multiple supports. A lot of people who play support know how to play multiple because there's only freaking 13 of them. All right, Deadpool Strategist. The Merc with Mouth, blah, 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 blah. Seeing a slight increase in his baseline healing capabilities. In gun form, increased bouncing bobblehead continuous healing provided by spell field from 40 to 50 seconds standard and 50 to 55 seconds upgraded. So the biggest problem with Stratpool is that he definitely just didn't heal enough to feel like he was really effective at it. It was always really frustrating sort of having him on your team because you also knew that they were just sort of like DPSing a lot. I think the concept behind Stratpool is good, but I think that, yeah, especially with how much damage is in the game, I just didn't feel like Stratpool was all that effective. And seeing his win rate and stuff, it makes sense as to why they're buffing like the base healing. It just, you know, he wasn't really felt. But this is also, it's a decent buff, but it's not anything crazy. I don't think we're going to suddenly see him sit at like a 53% win rate or anything. So this is fine. Gambit, everyone's favorite support. We reduce the offensive capabilities of Gambit's ultimate. Reduce the bonus damage multiplier from 25% to 20%. Reduce the movement speed bonus from 40% to 30%. This is another one of those characters where Gambit's been so strong that I need you to not talk during this. Gambit here, if we look at the win rates, even if we look at like the overall win rate, I knew that Gambit wasn't performing because in my games where I was playing Rocket against Gambit, I was winning. And as everyone was freaking out about Gambit and still banning him, I was fine with them banning him because his ult combination is still very powerful. To me, the problem that players are having, in my opinion, is that the perception of Gambit is going to be a difficult one to break. He's been permabanned for 6 months, but his win rate is not that great. And I know that I've been winning against Gambits this season as well, but he's still permabanned most of the time. I know it seems like this is a slap on the wrist, but realistically, guys, to me personally, Rocket's still just way stronger in so many ways. His ult is better, his healing is better, his damage for shredding tanks is insane. He has his res beacon, he has great survivability. The hardest thing that people are struggling with right now is they're going to have to reckon with the fact that Gambit's actually not as good as people think. Overall, in ranked, like pro play, it might be different, right? But in ranked, he's not that effective. And I think changing the perception of how powerful this character is going to be difficult because people just do not want to admit that he's actually as sort of mid as he's performing. But this is one of those things where it's just like, it's frustrating to go against because when the Gambit does ult, it feels like there's nothing you can do. But I don't know. I've won against Gambits this season playing Rocket, so I just don't feel the same thing. I think that this is a good change to his ultimate, but I honestly don't even know if it was all that necessary. I think the biggest problem Gambit has is that he was just strong for so long that people don't want to admit that he's actually okay right now. Changing the perception on Gambit is going to be tough. I hope that this is enough, but we'll have to see. I don't think that Gambit is all that bad. People need to try letting him through the ban phase just to see how it is. Ultron's drone coverage range is taking a hit to lower the buff capabilities it provided allies and reducing his ultimate ability charge speed. Reduce imperative patch maximum drone attached distance from 35 to 30 meters. Okay, so the range on his drones. Increase the firewall cooldown from 10 seconds to 12 seconds. So he's a little less survivable. Increase the energy cost of Rage of Ultron from 4,000 to 4,300. That seems pretty significant. I'm going to be real. Because aren't the other support ults 4,300? Hot take. I think I think Ultron wasn't actually that bad. I think that even in a 2 support comp, I think Ultron did pretty good. I think that this seems aimed more at how he does in triple support. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm gonna be real. Ultron's typically only played in triple support, but I think like with the way that he was before, I think that he was actually fine in 2 support comps, just people didn't want to give it a try. Because if you had like a Rocket and an Ultron, or a Jeff and an Ultron, you had enough base healing to keep people up. Especially with a two comp. Because I don't think that like Ultron, Mantis, and Atom cannot work in 2-2-2. It just matters on what your other support is. Because you can't have like Adam and Mantis most of the time, or Adam and Ultron most of the time, but you can have Rocket and Adam and Rocket and Mantis and Rocket and Ultron, or Jeff, because of how much healing they have in their neutral kit. This one seems more of just trying to make sure that he's like less viable or less useful in triple support, but I worry that it just makes him less useful in a 2 support comp. So then it just kind of pigeonholes him even more into 3 support. I don't know. This might be the one change I kind of don't really know where they're going. White Fox's baseline crowd control capabilities are being slightly reduced. Reduce the charm and invincibility spell field radius on Spectral Surge from 8. Like, this is why I have to have the game open. I don't know what you're saying right now. Oh, smaller hitbox on the charm. Thank you. I wish they just said that. Okay, let's take a look here. Again, the problem with White Fox, this is a good example. The problem with White Fox is that it feels oppressive to play against, especially if she's in her melee form, right? She's very anti-dive. And in a season of a bunch of dive players, that makes them frustrated. So the frustrating part of White Fox's kit is this, because even if you're doing damage to her when she's doing this, I've seen her basically be able to just heal through kind of most of it, right? Which I understand why that can feel frustrating, but that's also like a really powerful ability of hers. And when she doesn't have it, she's kind of left sort of pretty weak. I know a lot of DPS players are like, supports are too powerful, you know, they need to be nerfed, the sustain is too high. I'm gonna be real, I don't think it's that bad. I think that even in the current state of the game, if you're a good DPS player and you understand resource management, you should be able to spot when these supports are making mistakes. Once again, for the pros, they might have different opinions because the way the game is played at the top 0.01% is way different than the way everyone else is playing her. But for you people in, you know, Grandmaster and Gold and Platinum, it's actually not that bad. People make mistakes on these characters all the time. It's all about managing those resources. But if you see White Fox go into melee form and you try to fight her up close in melee form, that's kind of on you. If you can't beat these certain supports, a lot of time the problem is you're just trying to force something that shouldn't be happening in the first place, right? If you're trying to fight White Fox when she's in her strongest cooldown, that seems kind of like a skill issue. Like, don't do that. The amount of times I've seen White Fox TP into their teammates, look, 12 seconds, 12 seconds. She has long cooldowns. That is a long window in which you can kill her, right? They have large windows in which you can attack supports. The difficult time people have is that you just keep rushing in there and dying instead of just baiting the cooldowns and outplaying the cooldowns, right? It's very easy for most players to be able to bait those cooldowns. I don't have a problem with it. And I think that, once again, players need to stop thinking that the way that pros talk is the same game that they are playing. That is not the game that you are playing, right? If pros have an issue with how White Fox is balanced at her absolute maximum efficiency, okay, maybe there's an argument there. We can talk about that. But you guys aren't playing that. That's a completely different game, right? I've still been playing games in Celestial. Haven't had any problems with any of the supports I've gone up against. Are supports strong? Yes, but supports are not supposed to just only heal people. Anyway, team abilities adjust to remove explosive entanglement, Gambit, Magneto, Rogue. So the Rogue team up is being toned down, which is good. It should be, especially with her getting buffed. This is what people have been asking for a really long time. You know, taking power out of the team up and putting it into her neutral, so that way she's more viable and she feels more effective. And I think that's a good thing. Dealt from 3% to 2%, 55 to 25. So it does less healing and a little bit less damage. You know, nothing crazy. This was needed for a while, so I am happy that they did that. Been lied to too many times by devs saying they're taking extra time to do X, then X doesn't come, or is dog. I mean, like, here's the thing: is like everybody has a different definition of what balance is, and balance is subjective. So I don't get upset at the individual micro changes that happen. I get upset at the, what I see the devs do overall. Like, big picture, the devs iterate frequently and they are listening to the community and they're trying their best to make changes based off of our feedback. They are very receptive and they are very quick. I like that. I played Overwatch for 8 years. They were not receptive. They were not quick. They did not communicate. It was terrible. We got no new content. The balance was terrible. Like, we had nothing. So coming over to Rivals, is it perfect? No, but they are quick to make changes. And I don't care what anyone says. Season 0, the game was fun. It was new. Everyone was playing stuff. It was a mess in Season 0. If we went back and we played Season 0 again, we would be miserable, right? Season 0 was terrible. Nostalgia will get to you, though. It was only good because it was new. But the game has massively improved from Season 0, and that's the reason why I'm like, hey, I'm gonna give them time to do their thing. Anyway, that's the patch notes. I ranted for probably whatever is going to be like an hour of this video. I hope you all enjoyed it on YouTube. And yeah, if you agree, disagree, tell me what you think of the, in the comments down below. Thanks. And yeah, thanks for watching.